Welcome to the Topical Capacity Building component of the Performance Measurement module. As a reminder, the Topical Capacity Building component is intended to provide more details on topics that were only covered briefly during the live training session. In this session, we will discuss best practices for effective monitoring and record-keeping systems, and we will also highlight some of the key reports available in the Integrated Disbursement and Information System, or IDIS, that are useful for managing the CDBG program on a day-to-day basis. As we learned in the live training video, CDBG entitlement grantees and states are required to monitor subrecipients or units of general local government. Some of the key attributes of effective subrecipient monitoring systems include establishing the program requirements and written agreements that explain the CDBG eligible activity, the national objective, who will benefit from the activity, the frequency and form of progress reports, documentation standards, and other federal requirements. Providing technical assistance to subrecipients to explain the CDBG requirements and to share samples of compliant documentation. Developing a monitoring policy and procedure that describes the frequency of monitoring and how monitoring will be conducted. Developing checklists for monitoring. A great place to start developing a monitoring checklist is to look at the checklist's HUD uses to monitor the CDBG entitlement or the state. These may be found in the CPD Monitoring Handbook on the HUD Exchange website, covering eligible activities, national objectives, activity-specific requirements, and other federal requirements including the Uniform Administrative Requirements. Addressing local requirements included in written agreements, sharing these checklists with subrecipients, and units of general local government in advance, so they can implement their activities in compliance with the requirements. Conducting an entrance and an exit conference to clearly communicate expectations and monitoring results, and documenting the monitoring review in a formal letter that addresses any findings, concerns, and corrective actions required. For CDBG entitlement grantees and for states, the best way to establish effective record-keeping systems is to identify the records that are required at 24 CFR Part 570, Section 506, specify the documentation standard, designate a specific place where those documents must be retained, and assign roles and responsibilities to program staff to maintain those records. It is important for CDBG entitlement grantees and for states to develop file structures and procedures for every CDBG activity and to consistently follow those standards every year to ensure that adequate records are available and organized for HUD's review. There are two key resources that CDBG entitlement grantees and states can use to develop their record-keeping systems. The first resource is the CDBG regulations at 24 CFR Part 570, Section 506 for entitlement grantees, and 24 CFR Part 570, Sections 490 and 493 for states. Before funding a CDBG activity, review these regulations to determine the records HUD requires CDBG entitlements and states to maintain. The second source in HUD's CPD Monitoring Handbook, www.hud.gov. IDIS contains several reports that should be generated by CDBG entitlement grantees and by states to ensure their programs are on track. Some of the key reports for this purpose include the PR01 HUD Grants and Program Income Report that provides a summary of all CDBG grants and program income by year. The PR02 list of activities by program year and project that reports every CDBG activity under their associated action plan project and program year, the amount of funds obligated and drawn, and the status of every activity as open, complete, or canceled. The PR03 CDBG Activity Summary Report that provides information on eligibility, national objective, and accomplishments for every CDBG activity in a given program year. The PR26 CDBG Financial Summary Report for entitlement grantees, or the PR28 Performance and Evaluation Report for states that shows compliance with program financial rules. The PR56 CDBG Timeliness Report for entitlements that shows compliance with the timely expenditure requirements, and the PR57 CDBG State Grant Commitments. Timely award of funds report that shows the state's progress in meeting the timely distribution requirements of CDBG funds to units of general local government. These reports, and many others, are available in IDIS to help CDBG entitlement grantees and states effectively manage their programs in compliance with HUD requirements. Thank you for watching the topical capacity building component of the performance measurement module. We learned about the key elements of effective monitoring and record-keeping systems, and we reviewed a list of useful IDIS reports that CDBG entitlement grantee and states can access regularly to make sure their programs are on track. Please proceed to the Reinforce component of this module for a brief quiz to test your knowledge.